Wish you a very, very happy Holi and happy Gaura Purnima to our Philosophy Friday members. Today is a very, very auspicious day, and I'm extremely fortunate that this time Gaura Purnima is on a Friday. So I'm actually having the opportunity to speak on Lord Gauranga on actually the day of when it's happening. So my health is not the best, so I will be a little slow. So forgive me if my enthusiasm seems a little dull, but my heart is very jubilant, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to serve all of you by sharing the life of Lord Chaitanya in a brief. So Lord Chaitanya appeared in Mayapur, West Bengal in 1486, and he was here on this planet for a very short period of time till 1534. So who is Lord Chaitanya? Lord Chaitanya, it is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, Krishna Varanam, Tvasha Krishnam, Sango Pangastra Parshadam, Yajya Sankirtana Prayar, Yajati Su Medhasaha. So what it means basically is that Krishna Varnam, Krishna. So he is Krishna himself. Lord Chaitanya comes in Kali Yuga as Krishna himself. Let me just quickly pause the record. So this is the verse that describes Lord Chaitanya. Krishna Varnam Tvasha Krishnam Sango Pangastra Parshadam Yagya Sankirtana Prayar Yajanti Hi Sumedhasa. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting of worship. It is Sankirtana, right? Harinam Sankirtana. Worship the incarnation of Godhead who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. So Lord Chaitanya, he is not dark in complexion like Krishna. Although he is Krishna himself, he is Gauranga, which means he is golden in complexion. Because although Krishna, he has the mood of Srimati Radharani. So here is what happened. Lord Krishna was like, in his pastimes in the spiritual world, he's like, wow, these devotees of mine seem so ecstatic, constantly being in service to me. What is the secret to their happiness? They seem to be more happy than I am, even though I am the object of their love. I want to experience what it's like to be my devotee. And what to speak of devotee, or who's the best devotee? Srimati Radharani. So although he's Krishna, he comes as in the mood of Srimati Radharani, as Gauranga. So he's always looking for Krishna, like Srimati Radharani always looks for Krishna. Because Radha Krishna naha bhinna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is non-different from Radha Krishna. And he appears once in 1000 yuga cycles. 1 yuga cycle is Satya, Treta, Dwapar, Kali. There are 1000 such yuga cycles. In 1000, that's 1 day of Brahma. So in 1 day of Brahma, Lord Chaitanya appears only once in the Kali Yuga. So it is such a rare opportunity that even demigods line up in the heavenly planets to take birth in this Kali Yuga, because when they take part in Lord Chaitanya's movement, that's it. Going back home, back to Godhead. Not only Godhead, but to Goloka, Krishna's bedroom. Direct access. So that's Lord Chaitanya, and that's why this Kali Yuga is not as bad as other Kali Yugas. Other Kali Yugas, by now things are much worse, and you must be thinking, well, there is this wars, there is all this corruption, all this stuff. It is actually the golden period of Kali Yuga. I mean, if you see, there were more wars in the Middle Ages, before Lord Chaitanya's advent. When Lord Chaitanya, came on this planet, that time Christopher Columbus was looking for India and traveling to America to find India, right? There was all these things happening. They were capturing, and so Lord Chaitanya came, and then the disciplic succession that has been carrying forward that message that remained within Bengal, Vrindavan, and Orissa. Of course, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he spread it across India. 64 mathas he created. Then Srila Prabhupada took this outside India and made 108 temples around the world. And that was Lord Chaitanya's desire. It was, in fact, Lord Nityananda's prophecy that somebody will come and he will spread this movement across the rivers. So that's how we know, what ISKCON is as we know it. Now, Lord Chaitanya, coming back to him. So it's a very amazing pastime when Lord Chaitanya is born. So he appears. So before Lord Chaitanya appears, Advaita Acharya, who is Mahavishnu reincarnated. So Advaita Acharya actually calls out to Shalagram Shila. The Shalagram Shila is still there in Shantipur. Those who are from West Bengal know this. So to that Shalagram Shila saying that, my dear Lord, the scriptures say that in this Kali Yuga you are supposed to come. It is really terrible situation. Kindly come and bestow your mercy upon us. And then soon, shortly after that, Lord Chaitanya appears in the house of Mother Sachi. And what's the father's name of Lord Chaitanya?
Jagannath Mishra.
Jagannath Mishra. Thank you. And that is when you go to Mayapur, ISKCON Mayapur, right next to there is Yoga Pit. You can see that was the actual house there where Lord Chaitanya appeared. Now this is Krishna. So this is not a normal appearance. He just appears like that. He appeared and immediately, so the moment Lord Chaitanya was appearing, in the nearby Ganga, those of you have seen it, there's a Ganga very close to Lord Chaitanya's house. In the nearby Ganga, because it's a Purnima day, or night, evening rather, there were thousands and thousands of Brahmanas doing Tarpan, and they were chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra in unison, right? And with that chanting of the holy name, Lord Chaitanya appeared on this planet. And here's the amazing part. As soon as Lord Chaitanya appeared, the demigods came in. This is only 500 years ago, right? So if you go to some of the temples, they actually depict who are the demigods who came. They didn't just come alone. They came in their chariots. They had their soldiers with them, bodyguards. They had their, associates, and they had gifts in their hands. And everybody in Navadvip were like, who are these people? Because they were extremely tall, extremely good looking, extremely well dressed, bejeweled with gold and diamonds and everything, and they were effulgent. So they, as they entered Sachi Mata's room to pay their obeisances to Lord Chaitanya, the whole room was lit up, and there were guards outside. So demigods carry, just like VIPs have bodyguards. So demigods also have bodyguards because they're always scared of the demons attacking them. So they came with their bodyguards and the chariots, and they offered just like, in Christ's thing, it's mentioned like they gave him gifts to the baby Christ. So similarly here also, Lord Chaitanya, mother and father, they were given gifts by the demigods. And everybody is like, whoa, who is this child that such great personalities have come? So long story short, Lord Chaitanya was a very naughty child, very, very naughty child. He was extremely scholarly. He could understand Sanskrit, and he could juggle Sanskrit words and everything and defeat anyone and everyone. And then Lord Chaitanya, when he came of age, he went to Gaya after his father passed away to Pindadan. So there he met his guru, who's Ishwarapuri. And as soon as he took initiation from Ishwarapuri, Lord Chaitanya, he changed completely. From a scholarly, argumentative, person who just made fun of the devotees, he started, when he was walking back to Bengal, he was in tears and he was constantly chanting. He couldn't stop himself from chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And when devotees asked, what happened to you? You were this dry, scholarly, logical person who would not talk about bhakti and defeat all of us with your logic. What changed? He's like, my Guru Maharaj gave me his mercy, and by his mercy, he just said, chant Hare Krishna, that's it. And I can't stop myself from chanting constantly. Then soon after that, Lord Chaitanya took sannyas at the age of 24. And I'm just making things shorter. So then Lord Chaitanya was going to go to Vrindavan, but Mother Sachi, she came and said, please go to Jagannath Puri. If you have to go to Jagannath Puri, because Bengalis travel from Bengal to Jagannath Puri every year during Rath Yatra. And she's like, at least once a year, I'll get the news of how you're doing. Because if you go to Vrindavan, I don't know who will go to Vrindavan, but all the devotees from Navadvip go to Puri, and then I can hear how you're doing. So please go to Puri. And of course, Lord Chaitanya took that request and he went to Jagannath Puri. As he went to Jagannath Puri, so those of you have gone to Puri, there is something called the Grand Road, right? So from very far, there's a bridge. When I take you there, you can see there's a bridge where Lord Chaitanya, for the first time, because there were not so many buildings, it's quite far away. So there he saw the chakra of Jagannath Puri temple, and just by seeing the chakra, he fainted. And he was basically in tears, and he was fainting and walking and fainting and walking, kind of like, giving dandavats and dandavats and dandavats, and that's how he went to Puri. And then he entered the Puri temple. When he entered the Puri temple, he was in complete ecstasy. He saw Jagannath and he fainted. There was no sign of life in his body. But the pandas in Jagannath temple, they thought, oh, fake still. This guy is a fake. He's just trying to show ecstasy. As that was happening, they were about to come with sticks to beat him. Came in Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, hold on. Let me take some cotton swab and put in front of Lord Chaitanya's nose. And there was no breathing. The nose, there was no air. It's like, this is something very different. This is not a fake show of ecstasy. Bring him to my house. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was at that time the head pujari of Jagannath Puri. He was extremely well respected. He had, he was a logician who studied at Nalanda, which was the Harvard of the time. So he was extremely logical in his mind, knew the scriptures, knew all the different 6 philosophies of Hinduism that are there, impersonalism, personalism, voidism, etc., etc. So he knew all 6 philosophies in and out. A very scholarly person. So he brought Lord Chaitanya to his house. And in the meantime, there were other devotees coming behind Lord Chaitanya, Gopinath Acharya and others. And they were like, where is Lord Chaitanya? They're like, they're not able to find Lord Chaitanya. So they came to Puri temple and they're like, have you seen this young sannyasi? They're like, there's a lot of sannyasis. Like, no, this guy, he just keeps going in ecstasy. They're like, oh, yes, he's been taken to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's house. So Lord Chaitanya, they realized, okay, so they went to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's house, and Gopinath Acharya was actually the relative of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, oh, he's a young sannyasi, I'm going to train him up. He has a lot of potential, so I'm going to train him up. And Gopinath Acharya said, what nonsense are you speaking? This is Lord Krishna himself. The scriptures say it. Because if you Google, you will find Lord Chaitanya's advent on this planet. It is mentioned in more than 21 scriptures, from Garuda Puran to Padma Puran to Srimad Bhagavatam to you name it. They refer to Lord Chaitanya's mother. They refer to Lord Chaitanya's time when he'll advent. They refer to how many years he'll be, in his householder life, how many years he'll be sannyasi. So it's not like he just said, oh, I'm God. No. Scriptures define that this is the time when this great, the personality of Godhead himself will come down as Lord Chaitanya. So Gopinath Acharya said to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and so no, this is not possible. He cannot be God. You're just emotional. So then Lord Chaitanya came back to his senses, because Gopinath Acharya knew how to bring him back. They just have to chant Hare Krishna in his ears, and Lord Chaitanya would come back in his senses. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, okay, I'm going to train you up. You're a young brahmachari. You're very good looking. Girls are going to be all over you. So I'm going to train you up so you can be a Nashtaki sannyasi. And Lord Chaitanya, he respected him because he's older. Actually, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Jagannath Mishra are the same age. They were, I think, friends. So he said, so you're like my father, so whatever you say, I'll do. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya put Lord Chaitanya on a higher pedestal because he was sannyasi. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is a grihastha, so he sat on a lower pedestal. But he instructed Lord Chaitanya for 7 days on Vedanta philosophy. So impersonalists love Vedanta philosophy because it says things like he walks but he doesn't walk, he sees but he doesn't have eyes. So it's like all about formlessness, right? So Lord Chaitanya didn't say anything. He just kept hearing for 7 days. And after that, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya asked, please tell me if you have any doubts. If you have any questions, you have not said anything. 7 days I've been speaking. And Lord Chaitanya says, I'm quite aware of Vedanta Sutra. But how you describe it is like a dark cloud. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was very taken aback. He's like, whoa, a new sannyasi is talking to me like this? Because Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he was so scholarly, he had sannyasi disciples being a grihastha. Right? It's like, whoa, okay, so if you know more, why don't you tell me? What is your way of explaining? So Lord Chaitanya explained Vedanta Sutra in 64 different ways, not repeating a single point said by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, with his scholarliness and understanding, he realized this is none other than the personality of Godhead. He fell at his feet. He looked up and he saw in Lord Chaitanya with 6-armed form. 2 armed, one holding Kamandalu and the sannyasi danda, that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one holding the bow and arrow, and one holding the flute and the chakra. So he's Krishna and Rama in the form of Lord Chaitanya. So he gave that divine vision to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya saw that and he was done with impersonalism. Next morning when he woke up, Lord Chaitanya brought him a plate of prasadam. Because impersonalists, they're into rules, rituals, mantras, and all kinds of things. And our bhakti is more about love for Krishna, the essence. So Lord Chaitanya brought him Jagannath Prasadam, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya didn't even brush his teeth. But as soon as he saw the prasadam, he put it in his mouth. And Lord Chaitanya said, whoa, you have not cleaned your body, cleaned your mouth yet? Are you sure? That's etiquette. It's like, you have changed me completely, Lord Chaitanya. This prasadam is not different from Lord Jagannath. So you brought it to me. I don't care about any rules. I'm just accepting it because this is not different from the Lord himself. So like that, there was a huge transition in Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So his house is still there. When you go to Jagannath Puri, you can go see it. Now Lord Chaitanya, as his verse says, he didn't come alone. He came Sangapangastu Parshadam. So Parshad means his entourage. When a VIP comes, right, they have like a lot of people who are their entourage coming in. So Lord Chaitanya was like that. He brought in a whole entourage of devotees with him. Lord Brahma came as Haridas Thakur. Srimati Radharani came as Gadadhar Pandit. Lord Balaram came as Nityananda Prabhu. Mahavishnu came as Advaita Acharya. Prahlad Maharaj came as, who knows? What was his name? Prahlad Maharaj came as who? I'm not remembering the name. I'm very sorry. Then Jagannath Pandit was not Rukmini Devi, but Satyabhama, right? Lalita was Swarup Damodar Goswami. So like that, the whole Krishna Leela, all these great personalities, they came, especially the women, they came in the form of men in Gaura Leela. And they assisted Lord Chaitanya in his service. And many of them did not actually marry. And of course, you can understand why, because in their spiritual mode, they are Krishnas. They cannot be anybody else's. Lord Nityananda did marry. He had 2 wives, and one of them was Mother Janava. And she's inspiration. Oh, I'll tell you about her shortly. Is everybody so far okay? Following through, or am I going too fast? Okay. So Lord Chaitanya, in Jagannath Puri, he was doing his pastimes and he was doing amazing, exposition of the fact that he is Lord Chaitanya, or he is Krishna himself. And a lot of times he would not showcase. He would put his hand in his ears when they would call him that you are Krishna. So one day what happened in Rath Yatra time, the chariot of Jagannath stopped moving. And the king brought in the strongest of men who are wrestlers, hundreds of wrestlers. They tried to pull the chariot. Chariot wouldn't move. Then the king brought in horses and elephants, the best of the elephants. The chariot would not move an inch. And Lord Chaitanya was in, I think he was in Jagannath Gardens, and somebody asked him, Lord Chaitanya, Jagannath is not moving. Unless you come, we don't know what to do. The king has tried everything, King Pratap Rudra. If these names are not familiar, you will get used to it. So Lord Chaitanya said, okay, I'll come. And he came. And from behind the chariot, Lord Chaitanya with his forehead, he just hit, tapped the chariot, and the chariot started moving. And everybody's like, whoa, what is this? Right? And then what happened? Lord Chaitanya. So if you see Jagannath Rath Yatra, there's devotees who are singing and dancing in circles in front of Lord Jagannath's chariot. So Lord Chaitanya used to also do that. He would dance, and there'd be devotees around him, especially Lord Nityananda, Gaura Pandit, and Advaita Acharya, holding him because he would go into ecstasy and he would fall if they don't hold him. So they would hold Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya would cry and tears of ecstasy. But the really amazing parallel between Krishna Leela and Gaura Leela is that Lord Chaitanya, when he would dance in these circles, he would actually replicate himself into multiple circles simultaneously. He'd be dancing with multiple devotees in multiple circles. And if you know anything about Rasa Leela, that's what Lord Krishna does during Rasa Leela. With the millions of gopis he's dancing with, each and every gopi thinks Krishna is dancing with me exclusively, because he expands himself to each and every gopi. He's looking at them eye to eye and dancing with them. So Lord Krishna can do that, and Lord Chaitanya did that. He expanded himself, and people could see, here is Lord Chaitanya, there is Lord Chaitanya, here is Lord Chaitanya, there is Lord Chaitanya. He's dancing in every circle in ecstasy, right? So he was definitely not hiding his divinity. Then there are many other aspects, Lord Chaitanya's room. So when you go to Jagannath Puri, definitely go to this place called Gambhira. It is a very thick walled room, and you can still see Lord Chaitanya's kamandalu and his, what do you call the shoes that sannyasis wear? It's called Paduka, right? So that's all there. And in this room, if you see, the walls were thick, the doors were locked. They would lock Lord Chaitanya inside, because otherwise he would run away into some ecstasy somewhere. But every day they would lock him. In the morning they would come, Lord Chaitanya is there, not there, right? He would be somewhere else. Like sometimes he would be found in like just a lump of flesh, completely melted like Jagannath. Sometimes he would be disjointed, 8 feet long. All the bones of his body were disjointed. Sometimes he'd be found in the water, in the ocean. Some fishermen once went to fishing, and they found Lord Chaitanya. It caught in his net. He caught in his net, and as soon as he touched Lord Chaitanya's body, he went into mad ecstasy, and he was like, what have I done? I have been possessed by a ghost. And he started running around like crazy. Gopinath Acharya saw. He's like, what happened? He's like, I think I touched a ghost. I'm like, okay, where is this ghost? Please take me there, because he knows that's Lord Chaitanya. And then they resuscitated Lord Chaitanya back to his consciousness. So Lord Chaitanya would show ecstasy that is not human and that has never been seen before. Right? He would literally disintegrate his body, and then he would come back into. So he was missing Srimati Radha, as in the mood of Srimati Radharani, missing Krishna, and its separation, mood of separation, the viraha, bhav, would manifest in ways one can't understand through their normal senses. Many of you might be thinking that this is all hokey pokey, and that's completely understandable. And the reason why is Chaitanya Charitamrita was never read before Srimad Bhagavatam. Once you understand Krishna really well, the first is Bhagavad Gita, then Srimad Bhagavatam, then Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prabhupada said, undergraduate is Bhagavad Gita, graduate studies is Srimad Bhagavatam, and then PhD, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Because it's so esoteric, it's impossible to understand Lord Chaitanya, because he is just not somebody has ever seen, So now Lord Chaitanya, slowly, he started having his disciples started growing, devotees were coming to him. Let's see. Okay, I missed a few stories from Navadvip. Let me see if I should cover it. Let me cover it. So I'll go back to Navadvip before Lord Chaitanya came to Vrindavan. So Lord Chaitanya, as he was in his Grihastha mode, in Srivas Thakur's house, they would have Harinam Sankirtan, chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra all night long. They would dance in ecstasy, and there'd be Mahamantra Kirtan happening, and it was only a selected few people. It was Advaita Acharya, Srinivas Acharya, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda. I don't know if he was there yet. So like that, all these great personalities, and people always wondered what happens inside. So one devotee who was a spy kind of a thing, he hid himself inside some tumbler, and he tried to see, what's happening. And Lord Chaitanya stopped. Like, there is somebody here, and I cannot be in ecstasy when there are, when it's not the best of devotees. So that person was found, he was kicked out. But then Advaita Acharya one day said, we should take this out on the streets so everybody can have access to this Harinam Sankirtan. So actually, Shivas Thakur's Shivas Angan, it is considered parallel to Rasa Mandala, where Lord Krishna would do Rasa dance every night. So Lord Chaitanya would do Harinam Sankirtan. He's chanting Mahamantra together and dancing and chanting and singing. So Advaita Acharya said, let's go take it to the streets. So everybody should have access to this amazing thing. And Lord Chaitanya said, I was just waiting for your instruction. So I'm so happy you said. So they now went on the streets, and devotees would be like, whoa, this is amazing, ecstatic. Then Nawazuddin Shah was ruling Bengal at that time. And his very, I guess his district magistrate or some kind of a tax collector or some high official, his name is Chand Kazi. So this man was not a very good person. So he warned the devotees that you cannot chant Hare Krishna. If you chant, there'll be consequences. And they came to Lord Chaitanya and said, this is what he said. Lord Chaitanya said, don't stop, keep going. They cannot stop us. And devotees would chant and chant and chant. And one day, Chand Kazi sent his army, and they broke the mridanga and, hurt the devotees. And Lord Chaitanya heard this, and he was super upset. Because mridanga and kartal, and these are expansions of Balaram. So then he said, we will face this man face to face. So Lord Chaitanya gathered all his disciples of Navadvip, thousands and thousands of men and women, chanting Hare Krishna. Prabhupada called this the first civil disobedience movement, right? And they came to the house of Chand Kazi, and Chand Kazi was hiding in his room. And Lord Chaitanya said, Chand Kazi, come out right now, Chand Kazi. Why did you break the mridanga? I want to see you. Chand Kazi, come out. And Chand Kazi was very scared because so many people, he thought they'll beat him to death. And he came out and he said, hey, Nimai, your father and I were friends. We're the same age. Please understand. Let's talk it out. Let's negotiate and talk it out. Let's not make this very harsh. So Lord Chaitanya says, very good. Let's talk it out. So they sat down together. Lord Chaitanya from Vedic scriptures and Chand Kazi from Quran started discussing about chanting the holy names of Lord. And Lord Chaitanya pointed out from Quran, and Chand Kazi accepted that yes, chanting of the holy name of the Lord is the highest thing, that even like Allahu Akbar. So even the Islamic faith also talks about it. And then Chand Kazi said, I was very scared because yesterday night I got a dream. This half lion, half human came in my dream and strangled me. And you see, there are nail marks on my neck. There is nail marks on my chest. I was so scared. I woke up and I saw these nail marks on my body. I didn't know what it was or who it was, but he said, if you stop the Harinam Sankirtan, there will be big consequences. So I pray to you, Lord Chaitanya, me and my future generations will never, ever stop your Harinam Sankirtan. It can go on and there'll be no interruptions whatsoever. So even till date, the Muslim, that's a very Muslim area, highly Muslim populated area, Mayapur. But they do make sure there is cordial relations. Chand Kazi's Samadhi is actually a holy place where devotees go and visit, because he was transformed by sitting down with Lord Chaitanya and appreciating chanting of the holy name. And recently there was some vandalism that happened in one of our properties in Rajapur, which is close to Mayapur, and the Muslim leader came and he paid for repainting that whole property with their own money, saying, we don't want to be this. This is not who we are. We want to live in peace with you. So that's still Lord Chaitanya 500 years ago, that thing is continuing. All right. So again, going back to Jagannath Puri now. Let me see. I wrote down some past tense. Now Jagannath Puri, he was having these wonderful disciples. So during this time period, Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, two of the jewels of Lord Chaitanya, so they were extremely learned scholars from South India, Karnataka, if I remember correctly. And they were Saraswat Brahmins. right? But because of some issue with the king, as children, they had to, with their parents, had to move to Bengal. And Rupa Goswami was extremely scholarly, who spoke 6 languages, if I remember correctly, 6 or 8 languages, including Persian, Arabic, and all of that. So as he was a young man with so much knowledge and such scholarly personality, Nawab Hussain Shah asked Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, the 2 brothers, saying, hey, you guys are very scholarly, very capable. I would like you guys to run my kingdom so that I can go and, loot and plunder more states and more places and expand my kingdom. So he gave them options. He said, if you don't agree to this offer, I will kill all the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas in your area. So you have a choice. You can work as my prime minister and finance minister, or I will destroy, I'll kill all these Brahmanas and Vaishnavas that are there. So Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, they actually converted to Islam, Dabir Khas, and I forget the other person's name, and they kept beard, and they were wearing Muslim clothes, and they were working for the king. And they were very internally distraught that this king, with our help, he is plundering India, he's looting more and more states and growing his empire just because we are doing such a great job with maintaining his kingdom. So they wrote a letter to Lord Chaitanya, said, please tell us what to do. So Lord Chaitanya now was on his way to Vrindavan from Jagannath Puri. And on his way to Vrindavan, he took a detour and he stopped by Ramakeli, where Rupa and Sanatan Goswami were there. So Rupa and Sanatan Goswami, they took off their royal garments and they wore loincloth, and they came in front of Lord Chaitanya with grass in their mouth. So back in that time, the culture was, when you come in front of a great personality, you come with a straw in your teeth as a beggar, because that's what beggars used to do. They would bite a straw in their teeth, and with that they would ask for alms. So although they were royalty, they took on loincloth, straw in their teeth, and fell in front of Lord Chaitanya. And spontaneously, Rupa Goswami spoke out, Namo Mahavadannaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gorathvishe Namaha. So when we offer food to Krishna, we also say this mantra, Namo Mahavadannaya. So the most, Namo, my obeisances to the most magnanimous Lord Chaitanya, Namo Mahavadannaya Krishna Prema Pradayate, he who bestows Krishna Prema. Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya, Krishna Chaitanya, who is not different from Krishna. Gorathvishe Namaha, he is golden complexion, right? I offer my obeisances to such a personality. And he said, people call me a scholar, my dear Lord Chaitanya, but I'm a fool. I don't even know who I am. Kindly instruct me. Kindly tell me what I should do. And Lord Chaitanya said, in the right time, I will tell you. And then they told Lord Chaitanya was having thousands of people coming from Jagannath Puri all the way to Vrindavan. So they said, my dear Lord, we know this king, he's a very, very bad person. Although right now he has very positive views about you because his astrologer told him you're a very exceptional personality, but you never know when his mood changes. So these people's lives might be in danger. So kindly go to Vrindavan alone. So Lord Chaitanya said, very good, I will go alone. So Lord Chaitanya went to Vrindavan. On his way to Vrindavan, Lord Chaitanya went through this place called Jharikhanda forest, which what we call today is Jharkhand, right? So there was this huge forest, and it's very dangerous. Lots of wild animals are there: tigers, lions, deers, bears, right? And Lord Chaitanya had one servant with him. His name was Baladev. So as Lord Chaitanya was going through that forest fearlessly chanting Hare Krishna, he saw there was this place where all these animals were drinking water. And Lord Chaitanya, in his ecstasy, he started slapping the tigers, the lions, and the elephants, and the deers, and said, chant Hare Krishna, dance in Krishna consciousness. And all these animals, they stood up in 2 legs, and they started dancing in ecstasy and chanting Hare Krishna. And Baladev is watching, he's like, what on earth is going on? And if not only they're dancing, the tigers are hugging the deers, right? So those who are enemies are becoming connected with each other. They're hugging each other and dancing in ecstasy. So Lord Chaitanya could even make animals, wild animals, chant Hare Krishna. So we can at least do that for humans because he has empowered us. So then he reached Vrindavan, and in Vrindavan, Lord Chaitanya, he excavated all the pastimes of Krishna that we know today. So he was constantly going into ecstasy. And all the cows and calves and monkeys, they recognized this is Krishna. So they came running to Lord Chaitanya and licking him all over the place. There is a very beautiful painting of Lord Chaitanya in Vrindavan. And the deers are licking him, the cows are licking him. They're like, oh, finally he has come back to Vrindavan. And there Lord Chaitanya showcased, there was two puddles. He said, this is Shyam this is Radha Kund, right? He showed this is Govardhan Hill. So like that, he re-established, because after 5,000 years, as you can understand, a lot of the places were gone. People, locals didn't even know where everything was. So Lord Chaitanya established all of that and told his disciples, the Goswamis, he said, you guys stay in Vrindavan and you find out all the deities that Vajranath made. Vajranath is Lord Krishna's grandson. So after Lord Krishna left the planet, Vajranath, he had Vishwakarma carve different deities of Lord Krishna, and he showed it to Mother Revati, if I remember, to show, does this Krishna look like this? Yes, Krishna looked like that. So though all those deities are today in Jaipur because of Aurangzeb, he attacked Vrindavan, but they were excavated and found where Lord Chaitanya said they were, and they were installed in temples. So there's a beautiful song, Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan Shri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohan. So Shri Govinda, Govindadev temple, Madan Mohan temple, and Gopinath temple. These are three principal deities of Vrindavan, made under the instruction of Vajranath, Krishna's grandson, by the architect of the demigods. What's his name? I just said it and I forgot. Come on, somebody please tell me.
Vishwakarma.
Vishwakarma, thank you. My brain is hardly functioning. Today all day I've been throwing up, and so it's like fever and everything else. Sorry. All right. So like that, he established, he told the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan that you're going to establish all these places of pastime. And then he went to Allahabad. And in at that time called Prayag. So Prayag, now also it's called Prayag, sorry. So in Prayag, so Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami finally left Nawab Hussain Shah's place. They were incarcerated. Long story short, they ran away. And they left all the boatloads of the gold coins. Literally, they had 3-4 boatloads of gold coins. They left that and gave it to all the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. They gave it to they bribed the prison guard, and they were able to run away from Nawab Hussain Shah. And they appeared. So Sanatan Goswami came to Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya instructed him of Lord Chaitanya's teachings that are written in the form of Lord Chaitanya's teachings. The book is called Lord Chaitanya's teachings. And then Rupa Goswami later on, so he also, Lord Chaitanya gave his instructions to Rupa Goswami, and he wrote down Nectar of Devotion and Nectar of Instruction, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and Upadeshamrita. So Lord Chaitanya wrote a lot of different things, but he didn't keep them. He threw them in the Ganga, because there's another pastime because of that. But there's only 8 verses that Lord Chaitanya is writing that exist today, and that is called the Shikshashtakam. And the most glorious verse, or the most practically applicable verse for all of us, is Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadaharihi. So how to chant the holy name of Krishna? Trinadapi Sunichena, more humble than a blade of grass. How is a blade of grass? People walk over it, and blade of grass doesn't say, hey, how dare you walk over me? It bows down, right? Straw on the street. So humble as a blade of grass, but more tolerant. Trinad api sunichena. So more tolerant than a tree. A tree is getting shade, fruits, all kinds of things. But one day somebody comes and kills a tree, the tree does not protest. It takes in the heat and gives us shadow, right? So, Tinadapi, Sunichena, Tarorapi, Sahishnuna, more tolerant than a tree. Amanina Manadena, don't expect respect from others, but give respect to all. In such a consciousness, Kirtaniya Sadaharihi, one can chant the holy name of Krishna. If you're proud in your heart, you will feel bored chanting Krishna's holy name. If you're humble in your heart, my dear Krishna, I'm most fallen. But by the mercy of your dear, dear disciples, the Guru Shishya Parampara, somehow I have received this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Somehow I'm born in this Kali Yuga when Lord Chaitanya has appeared. If you so desire, kindly let me chant your holy name. And you will see, you'll chant in such ecstasy, you won't be able to stop. So that's the secret. Tinadapi Sunichena, Tarorapi Sahishnuna, Amanina Manavena. Don't expect respect, give respect to all. Kirtaniya Sadahari. So, Shikshashtakam is very amazing. Lord Chaitanya starts with these and then goes into ecstasy, talking about Radha Krishna's love and all that. But amazing, amazing. Those 8 verses, you could probably explain them for almost 1 year. They're so deep. But Lord Chaitanya allowed his disciples, Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, to give us the knowledge that he spoke to them, and so that we have access to them in the form of nectar of devotion and nectar of instruction. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and Bhakti and nectar of instruction, which is Upadeshamrita. All right, let's see. What do I have next? So then Sanatana Goswami, they were in Vrindavan, and sometimes the Goswamis, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, would come to Puri, Jagannath Puri, to meet Lord Chaitanya. One time, Sanatana Goswami, he got a skin disease by drinking some dirty water. And as he got skin disease, there was pus oozing from all over his body. And he was like, oh my God, if Lord Chaitanya sees me, he will hug me. And there'll be pus all over Lord Chaitanya's body. I don't want that to happen. So I will just hide behind the devotees so he doesn't see me. And just imagine that, humility. So Sanatana Goswami, he would take the route as he reached Jagannath Puri to Gambhira, Lord Chaitanya's house or room. There's 2 ways to go. One is through the shady road. The other one is through the beach. And in the summer, during Rath Yatra time, the beach is extremely hot. The sand, it can give you blisters on your feet. So Sanatana Goswami chose the beach road because he's like, I'm oozing, these things, and there will be great devotees passing through the shady road. And what if, some of my pus gets on their body? So I'd rather burn my feet and go from the beach road. And he went from the beach road and he saw Lord Chaitanya. There's all these devotees. And, he's behind somewhere outside. And Lord Chaitanya says, bring him inside. Sanatana Goswami has come. He knew. And Sanatana Goswami said, no. And Lord Chaitanya came out. He said, what are you doing? Why are you hiding from me? And Lord Chaitanya just embraced him like this. And then Sanatana Goswami said, please, Lord Chaitanya, please don't do this. I'm so disgusting. There's all these skin diseases in my body. And Lord Chaitanya said, how a mother feels towards cleaning a child's, filthy stuff. So it's like that. Lord Chaitanya was like, that's how I feel hugging you. And when Lord Chaitanya left him, his body was all cured instantly, like that. Sanatana Goswami was completely cured, and everybody was like, Haribol, Haribol. Like, in fact, Sanatana Goswami was contemplating suicide before that. That, Lord Chaitanya sees me, he will definitely want to hug me. So before he came to Lord Chaitanya, he actually thought, I will go under the chariot wheels of Jagannath and I'll end my life. So when he met Lord Chaitanya hugged him. He said, you think this body is yours? This is my body. You belong to me. How dare you think of ending yourself? You belong to me. You're my property. And so they both hugged each other in ecstasy. And so that was Lord Chaitanya's mood. He was very loving towards a devotee. But there was one devotee he would not give his mercy to. And this devotee is an amazing personality. This King Pratap. He is the most amazing king you can imagine. Absolutely devoted to Lord Chaitanya. But Lord Chaitanya said, I will not meet him. Why? Because he is materialistic person. He's so rich and royal and everything. And King Pratap said, I'll leave everything. I'll just be at your lotus feet. No, I don't want to see materialistic people. And then Lord Chaitanya realized that King Prataparudra was feeling very sad. So King Prataparudra asked Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he said, please tell Lord Chaitanya once. I just want to see him once. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya came to Lord Chaitanya and said, please, he's such a dedicated king. He is so much devotion to you. Lord Chaitanya said, if you ask me one more time, I will leave Jagannath Puri. I do not want anybody to talk to me about King Prataparudra. As he's speaking like this, Ramananda Rao walks in, who is Lalita. So Ramananda Rao was the governor of Madras. So Madras at that time was all the way from Chennai to Orissa. That whole area was Ramananda Roy's. So King Prataparudra was the king and Ramananda Roy was the governor. So Ramananda Roy came to Prataparudra and said, I'm very sorry, my lord. I have lost all interest in running your empire. Kindly give me retirement so that I can go serve Lord Chaitanya. And King Prataparudra said, very well, very well. Please go. Please serve Lord Chaitanya because I'm not able to serve him because he doesn't want to see my face. But you go and you serve him and I will give you the same salary that you're getting, in fact more. But please go serve him because if I'm not able to do it, at least you're able to do it. So as Lord Chaitanya tells Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, I don't want to hear about Prataparudra. Ramananda Rao walks in. Oh, my dear Lord Chaitanya, you won't believe how awesome a king is King Prataparudra. He just gave me complete access, freedom to serve you, and he's still going to give me the same pension, the same salary that I was getting as I was working for him. So Lord Chaitanya, he didn't say much. He smiled because King Prataparudra was serving the devotees. Initially he was trying to directly come to Lord Chaitanya, but then he's serving the devotees. So Lord Chaitanya slightly softened now. Then one day on the rooftop, so Rath Yatra is about to happen. So all the Bengali devotees are coming from Bengal to Orissa. And from the rooftop of the palace of King Prataparudra, he is standing next to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And he sees these Bengali devotees are coming, doing Harinam Sankirtan, the way he has never seen, beautifully singing. And he says, what is this? Please tell me. Like, this is Prem Sankirtan. These devotees are in Krishna Prema mode. So they are just completely in ecstasy. And when they sing Hare Krishna, it's like a whole different experience. And Advaita Acharya was garlanding all of them and giving them Chandan and Tilak and welcoming them to Puri. And then King Prataparudra said, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, these Bengali devotees are able to see Lord Chaitanya and serve them. I won't have this opportunity. Might as well end my life. I will just kill myself. Please, I don't want to live anymore. If Lord Chaitanya won't see me, I don't want to live anymore. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, you know what? Don't be rash. I'll give you a secret. Here is a hack. So he said, during Rath Yatra, Lord Chaitanya will be dancing like ecstasy. And he gets tired after dancing. Once, Lord doesn't get tired, but once he's done and the chariot has reached Gundicha, Lord Chaitanya goes and takes a rest in this Jagannath Priya Gardens. You go to that garden, dressed as a devotee, and you narrate this Srimad Bhagavatam verses. I don't remember exactly what verses they are. They're in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Like you narrate these verses to Lord Chaitanya, and he will be immediately melted by hearing these verses. So King Prataparudra, he changed from royal garments to a simple Vaishnava clothes. And he waited for Lord Chaitanya in the Jagannath gardens, and then Lord Chaitanya came and he started narrating the Bhagavatam verses, and Lord Chaitanya was like, keep going, this is so ecstatic. And then he started massaging Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet, and so Lord Chaitanya is allowing him to massage his lotus feet, and he is hearing Bhagavatam. And so what this shows is sometimes we might be, by our karma or some reason, Krishna might not want to see us, but when a devotee gives you the hack, the backdoor access, then Lord Krishna is bound, because he is owned by the devotee. So he is bound to give his mercy to the devotee. Just like Srila Prabhupada, when he was deciding how many rounds should devotees chant. So Srila Prabhupada said, you should all chant 64 rounds. And all the Western devotees were like, Prabhupada, 64 rounds, 8 hours, won't work, we are grihasthas. So many of us have children and work. Prabhupada, please. Prabhupada said, okay, fine, 32 rounds, no less. They said, no, Prabhupada, 32 rounds, too much, 4 hours, how will we find time? Prabhupada said, 16 rounds, no less. They said, fine, 16 rounds it is. Then one devotee, after Prabhupada got off the Vyasasana, came to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, 16 rounds, too much. What if I'm not able to do it for the rest of my life? Prabhupada said, don't worry. Hold on to my dhoti. I have keys to the back door, back door gate, and I will let you in. Don't worry. Right? So that's the mercy of devotees. Even if Krishna doesn't want, right? When Krishna was being tied up, my mother Yashoda, he didn't want to be tied up. He wanted to go play. But then Srimati Radharani came and gave her hair clipped to Mother Yashoda. And then Mother Yashoda couldn't tie Krishna with the ropes of 9 lakh cows. But with little hair clip of Srimati Radharani, she was able to tie Krishna finally. So that's Krishna is bound by Srimati Radharani. He can't say anything. Radharani gives it, he's tied up, now he's crying. Right? So even if Krishna doesn't want, Krishna's devotees are extremely merciful. So when I offer bhoga to Krishna, I always tell, my dear Srimati Radharani, he knows all by heart how fallen I am, but you're very kind. If you so desire, kindly take this, make it right for Krishna, and offer it to him in a way that he likes. And she takes care of it very kindly because she's very, very merciful. So Krishna's devotees are very merciful, and the access to Krishna is through his devotees. Now I'll talk about this amazing devotee, Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur was born in a Muslim family. And this is Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma, when he came to Krishna's Leela, Brahma took all the boys and kidnapped them, right? So when he brought back the boys after 1 year, Lord Krishna didn't say yes or no. He couldn't figure out whether Krishna is happy or not happy. So he went to Surabhi Kunj, which is in Navadvip, and he did austerities there so that he could take birth in Lord Chaitanya's Leela. So Haridas Thakur was that personality. So from a very early age, Haridas Thakur would chant Krishna's name, and he would chant 192 rounds every single day. 192 rounds takes you 23 hours. So he would finish that actually in 22.5 hours, and in 1.5 hours, sleep, reading Bhagavatam, giving classes, using the washroom, eating. All that he would do. He would not, these are people we should not even try to understand. Now, Haridas Thakur being born in a Muslim family, the local Muslims got very upset that he's a Muslim chanting Krishna's name. This is not good for us. What if more Muslims become devotees? So they went to the Nawab and they said, please do something about it. So the Nawab brought in Haridas Thakur and said, please stop chanting. He said, my dear Nawab, you cut my body into 2 million pieces. Every single part of my body will chant Krishna's holy name. I cannot stop myself from chanting. Sorry, not in my ability to stop chanting. You give me whatever punishment you want. He said, very arrogant. Fine. Take him through the 22 marketplaces and whip him till he dies. So generally between 1 to 3 marketplaces, people die. So Haridas Thakur was taken from one marketplace because they went to make a significant show that what happens when a Muslim chants Hare Krishna. So Haridas Thakur was taken from one marketplace to another and was whipped by 2 very strong kind of wrestlers, bodybuilders who have very strong strength. And there was not a mark on Haridas Thakur's back, not a mark. And Haridas Thakur just kept on chanting Hare Krishna and praying for them, praying for these people who were whipping him. So these people were like kind of, wondering what's going on. So after 22 marketplaces, these wrestlers got tired and said, you must be a saint. We're beating you for so long. And there is no sign of lethargy on your body. There is no mark on your body. And we are tired. You are just a feeble person. No, devotees are feeble. They don't eat much. They don't do much bodybuilding, gyms. So Haridas Thakur was just a feeble person. It's like, how come you're alive? Please die. You're a saint. We beg you, please die. Otherwise, the king will kill us. Haridas Thakur said, oh, is that true? If you don't kill me, the king will kill you? Fine, I will die right now. So Haridas Thakur instantly became a dead body. And then these 2 guys, they took Haridas Thakur's body and threw it in the river. And the body flew down the river, and then suddenly some other place, Haridas Thakur again woke up. And then the guy said, oh, we have killed him. He's dead now. So the king was like, good, finally he's gone. Then Haridas Thakur comes to the king again. So, my dear king, you wanted to kill me. Sorry, I'm still alive. Do whatever punishment you want to give me, because I know you don't want me to chant, but I cannot stop chanting. King said, he fell at Haridas Thakur's feet. He said, you are a real saint. This is not an ordinary person. So I beg for your forgiveness. Please, please forgive me. And you can chant, in way you want. Nobody will bother you. So now what happens? Haridas Thakur visits Lord Chaitanya. And he sees Lord Chaitanya sitting there without a shirt. And in the back, there is all these whiplashes. It's red completely. Haridas Thakur is like, who did this to you? Lord Chaitanya is like, well, when you were getting whipped, I sent my Sudarshan Chakra. But then you were praying for these two guys. Sudarshan Chakra refused to do anything to them because you were praying. My instruction is lower than your prayers because you are my pure devotee. So because you're praying, Sudarshan Chakra couldn't do anything. So then I decided to protect you, I have to put my back on you. So I put myself there. So I took the whiplashes for you. That's Lord Chaitanya, right? And then Haridas Thakur, his end. So now in Jagannath Puri, Haridas Thakur is to be there with Lord Chaitanya. We realized Lord Chaitanya is going to leave now. He's leave his body, end his pastimes. And he told Lord Chaitanya, I cannot live on this planet without you. Kindly allow me to leave before you. And I have a desire. I want to leave my body looking at your face, the feet on my chest. Please give me this benediction. Lord Chaitanya says, very well. So even if you go today, Haridas Thakur Samadhi, it's right on the beach. Lord Chaitanya put his lotus feet on Haridas Thakur's chest. Beautiful moon-like face, he's smiling at Haridas Thakur. And Haridas Thakur, looking at Lord Chaitanya's moon-like face, leaves his body. And then Lord Chaitanya picks up Haridas Thakur. And he starts dancing and chanting Hare Krishna. And he takes him around and said, and then Lord Chaitanya himself makes the what do you call that? The grave. He digs the grave on the beach. And he puts Haridas Thakur's body. He does all the samskaras that a son does for a father. And he buries Haridas Thakur. And he says that whoever takes bath in this ocean, right? Puri, most of you have gone to there probably. Whoever takes bath in this ocean will get love of Krishna, because Haridas Thakur is here. His body has been buried here. So that's the benediction we have. So when you go to Jagannath Puri, definitely go to Haridas Thakur's Samadhi. And then Lord Chaitanya also, a little later, he also left. So how did he leave? That's also very ecstatic. Lord Chaitanya just didn't leave like that. So there was this temple called Tota Gopinath, which is a little far away from Jagannath temple. Not too far, just a couple of kilometers probably. In Tota Gopinath temple, it's a beautiful deity of Radha and Krishna, where Gadadhar Pandit, who is Srimati Radharani by the way. So Gadadhar Pandit used to worship the Lord. So Tota Gopinath is where Lord Chaitanya entered the temple, and then he merged into the thigh of Tota Gopinath. So there is a crack even today. One can see that crack is where they say Lord Chaitanya entered him and merged with the deity. Now Gadadhar Pandit, lived the rest of his life without Lord Chaitanya, worshipping Tota Gopinath. And Tota Gopinath was a very tall deity of Krishna. And Gadadhar Pandit became elderly, and he kind of stooped, he became a little bent. So one day he was trying to put the garland on Krishna, and he was not able to. So the deity of Tota Gopinath, if you go today, you will see he's standing, and like his feet were in the Tribhanga Murari format, but then he bent down for Tota Gopinath. He actually came down so that, for Gadadhar Pandit. So Gadadhar Pandit could put the garland on him. So today also, Krishna is standing in that form, where he is lowered himself, his knees are bent, so that there's no deity in the world that you will see in that format. But Krishna actually bent himself so that Gadadhar Pandit could put a garland on him. Now, this happens. So Lord Nityananda leaves, all the Panchatattva leave, right? They're gone. Now, Lord Chaitanya, I'm going to take a few more minutes, if you guys don't mind. This is a very, very amazing pastime. So Lord Chaitanya, when he went to Padma River in Bangladesh, so Padma is a devotee river. So Lord Chaitanya entered the river, and the river got into ecstasy. There was tremendous waves going, and the personality of the river came and said, my dear Lord, I'm so fortunate you've come into my waters. What can I do for you? So Lord Chaitanya said, I am placing my love for Krishna in your waters. Few decades later, there's this wonderful devotee who's going to come. His name is Narottam Das Thakur. And you have to give this love of Krishna to him. I said, but how will I know? Like, just like with my presence, your water is going into ecstasy. So when he enters your water will have the same effect. And at that time, you should give what I'm storing in your rivers, Padma River. So like that, Narottam Das Thakur, who's son of a king, he somehow ran away from home, and he's amazing, amazing devotee. I can just spend hours talking about him. Narottam Das Thakur, he went into the river, Padma River, without even knowing. As he entered the river, he was very dark in complexion, very dark in complexion. So as he entered the river went into ecstasy. And the personality of the river came and said, here, I am giving you what Lord Chaitanya left for you. So Narottam Das Thakur, when he came out of the water, he was golden in complexion. He was fair, right? He went in dark and he came out fair. And everybody's like, whoa, what happened to him? And Narottam Das Thakur, I just cannot stop, he's ecstatic. I mean, he's amazing, amazing songs and poetry that he wrote. You will cry hearing his poetry. They're non-different from the scriptures. But one of the things he's known for is starting Gaura Purnima. So 70 years after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left, this time, Nityananda Prabhu's wife, I don't know, 70 years or 50 years, quite a few decades later, the Panchatattva left. Mother Janava, like I said, she's an ecstatic devotee, Lord Nityananda's wife. So she was the only remaining person from that group. She was now the spiritual master or guru of entire Bengal and Orissa and Vrindavan, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Now imagine a woman being a guru 500 years ago, when women were not even educated. This was Mother Janava. She was actually Revati. So the way Mother Janava got married to Lord Chaitanya was, she was serving Lord Chaitanya, got married to Nityananda Prabhu, she was serving Lord Nityananda, and her pallu, her veil, it got kind of up like that, and she manifested two more arms. As she is serving with two hands, two more arms she manifested to pull the veil down. And because Lord Nityananda saw her face, the society was such, he had to marry her. So that Mother Janava was now the spiritual master or the guru of the entire Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So Narottam Das Thakur was very closely associated with her and said, my dear Mother Janava, wouldn't it be nice if we celebrate Lord Chaitanya's appearance day? She said, absolutely. They said, invite everyone, make it the most grand thing that's humanly possible. And thousands and thousands and thousands of devotees came from Orissa, from Vrindavan, and from all over Bengal, right? And there was 3 days of festival happening. These two devotees who could dance for 72 hours straight, and this, I forget the names, and there's one devotee who could sing for 72 hours straight. So he sang for 72 hours, and the devotees were dancing in ecstasy, and guess what? Panchatattva came down. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivas, all of them came down to this world 70 years or 50 years after they had left, and they were dancing with the devotees. And the devotees were so happy to see the lordships. They were crying in ecstasy, like, wow, finally we unite. And they were dancing and dancing and dancing. And since then, we are having Gaura Purnima festival celebrated every single year for the last, 450 years or so. So that's that. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak on Lord Chaitanya, for your patience. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Chaitanya Avirbhav Mahamahotsav ki jai. Hare Krishna, everyone. Have a good night.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol.